From the Jake Lindsay Studio in Warrington, England, this is the final episode in Series 2 of the Jake Lindsay Show. Now here he is, the man himself, Jake Lindsay.
Welcome one and all to this final and most positive episode of the Jake Lindsay Show. So, what have I got for you this week? Well, I'll be talking to the founding director of pedal-powered theatre group the Handlebars, Paul Moss, about theatre post-COVID-19. And if you remember Nathan Turner from last series, he'll be here to headline Take to the Stage as he performs the Randy Newman classic, You've Got a Friend in Me. The biggest issue, yeah. You'll be glad to know that there is no big issue to bring you tonight, because I'm trying to keep this final episode as positive as possible. This week's guest. He may be the final guest of this series, but let's give him the biggest round of applause yet. Here he is, Mr. Paul Moss, ladies and gentlemen! How are you finding lockdown?
It's really strange. I've not really been in lockdown for months now, because we rehearsed a performance back in July, and we've been touring it since the end of July it will be the end of September by the time we finish. So this is the first time I've been home for about a month. So it's really weird.
So you work as the founding director of the Handlebards. For those people that have been living under a rock for the last 8 years and don't have a clue about the Handlebars, could you explain a bit about the group?
Yeah, of course. So we started the company about 7 or 8 years ago now. And it was a group of friends of mine from college and from university, and there were just 4 of us. And we had just finished university and decided we wanted to do and we decided that thing was going to be cycle around the country performing Shakespeare. So we came up with the name Handlebards. And in 2013 we cycled, it was the distance from John O'Groats to Land's End, so it was about 950 miles. But it was actually, we toured from Glasgow to London. And we had a great time. And we thought that was going to be the only year that we did it. But now, 7-8 years on, we're still going. And we've got almost 2 or 3 troupes of actors touring at any time. And they're touring around the world. They would have been touring around the world were it not for the pandemic. But yeah, we've been doing outdoor Shakespeare for about 7 or 8 years now.
What's life been like for the Handlebars during 2020 with nearly all theatres and outdoor venues closed and with Edinburgh cancelled?
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one. So in March, we had to cancel 3 tours. So we were going to have a troupe of male actors doing the Comedy of Errors. We were going to have a troupe of female actors doing Macbeth. And we were going to have 2 people going out and doing The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. And at the end of March, we cancelled all of those tours because we just didn't feel comfortable that they were going to be able to happen. But in this house that I sit in now lives myself, Tom, who is the producer along with me for the Handlebars, and Lucy, who is an actor that's worked with the Handlebars loads of times and also Tom's partner. And the 3 of us decided during lockdown that we were going to put together a 3-actor version of Romeo and Juliet. So when we felt comfortable and able to put a tour on, we did. So we've now been on the road taking a 3-actor Romeo and Juliet to outdoor venues across the country since the 31st of July. And we're touring that show until about the 10th of October at the moment. So we've got, it's really strange that it's almost like a phoenix from the flames coming back and putting on outdoor shows for people.
As well as rehearsing, how have you managed to keep the fans entertained?
We did a lot of online stuff during lockdown. So when we announced that we cancelled the tour, that came hand in hand with a couple of other announcements. So we did a live streaming of one of our old shows, which was Macbeth. Which Tom and I were actually in. We did workshops on Zoom for young people. So I think we ended up doing about 12 workshops every single Friday. So every Friday we would in this living room. We called them living room live workshops. We would have people sign up to do the workshop, and we deliver a live workshop for people from our living room. So every week we would do a different play of Shakespeare, and there'd be In fact, I'll just show you what we would do. We have all sorts of like silly things in our house, like this. It's a ball with some arms on it. And these guys actually turned into the cast members for all of the plays. So at the start of every workshop, we do a sort of 10-minute version of whatever play we were looking at that day, so this guy's called William Shakespeare. So they would act out the play, and then we'd do some like dramatic techniques. So we did puppetry, and we did some magic tricks, and we did some stuff with the text. And so yeah, we were working with about 70 kids every week, doing these workshops, and we had such a good time. And then in the weekdays, Tom, Lucy and I were actually getting on our bikes and cycling around South London and delivering groceries to people that needed groceries if they were shielding. So yeah, we had plenty to do, even though we were locked down.
So now you rehearse, how are you keeping yourselves, venue staff, and most importantly, the audience safe for each of the performances?
So yeah, we had, well, actually, I actually don't know if they're in here. During lockdown, I was drawing all sorts of diagrams using a compass and a ruler to see if we had a certain space of size of venue, how we could fit everyone in at socially distanced bubbles. And we realized actually it was possible. We could probably get about 150 people into a venue, all at 2 meters apart, depending on the size of their bubble. And it would all be fine. So we spent weeks risk assessing and planning for those sorts of events. So basically, we're all in the outdoors. Every household bubble has to sit 2 meters apart from every other household bubble. We normally would we'd be going out into the audience and stealing picnics and getting people on stage and doing that sort of thing, but unfortunately we're not doing that this year, because we can't do that safely at the moment. And there's a couple of bits in the show that are sort of there's moments where we sanitize our hands and that sort of thing as well, but it's all tied into the show. So yeah, we've worked with the venues really closely to make sure that everything is safe and just comfortable as well, so that it doesn't feel like you're sat in a hospital watching a show. It is still a very similar experience to how you would normally see outdoor theatre.
So most of you do outdoor theatre, but do you think that indoor theatre is safe yet? If yes, why? If no, when do you think it'll be safe?
It's a tough one, because we actually did an indoor show a couple of weeks ago, but it hadn't been planned to be an indoor show. So it was in Crawley, down in south of London, and it was thunderstorms, so we moved indoors, and it worked. It was actually fine. It took a lot of work for the venue staff, because they had to sanitize all the seating, and they had to seat everyone in social bubbles, but it was possible. And I think indoor theatre will come back quite quickly for things like stand-up comedians and for monologues and for small sort of 2 or 3 actor shows with low costs, because it's very, very difficult to put on something like a musical where you've got 16 actors on stage and another 16 people in the orchestra and a whole host of technicians and stage managers as well. That becomes a very, very difficult thing to stage because it's so expensive. So I think indoor theatre will come back in one way or another quite quickly, but I think it will be a while before we see the sort of big West End productions hitting the stages, unfortunately.
Well, thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you, Jake. It was good to see you.
Paul Mass, everybody! As Paul spoke about in this interview, the power of friendship is so, 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 so important at this time. And family is as well. So I've decided that this week we're going to merge Take to the Stage with Positivity Corner, and we're going to have a festival of friendship and family. Take to the positive stage. Here to perform the Randy Newman classic You've Got a Friend in Me from the film Toy Story, it's Nathan Turner!
nice warm bed. You just remember what your old pal said, 'cause you got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got troubles, well then I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. Stick together and we'll see it through, 'cause you got a friend in me. Yeah, you got a friend in me. Now some other folks, they might be a little bit smarter than I am, bigger, stronger too, but none of them will ever love you the way I do. It's me and you, boy, and as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You come to see it's our destiny, boy, you got a friend in me. Yeah, you got a friend in me. Yeah, you got a friend in me. Got a friend in me.
Nathan Turner, everyone! And as the bell of doom tolls, I notice it's nearly the end of the show, and the end of this series. Thank you so much to all the guests that have been on the show, and all the audience that have helped to make it go global. You've been brilliant. See you next series. Be kind to one another. Bye-bye. The Jake Lindsay Show. Thanks for watching. The Jake Lindsay Show. Hope to see you again. The Jake Lindsay Show. The Jake Lindsay Show. Thanks for watching. The Jake Lindsay Show. Hope to see you again. The Jake Lindsay Show.